All right, everybody, welcome back. We're going deep today
Oh, deep.
into some really interesting research
Yeah.
about large language models
Mm-hmm.
and knowledge graphs.
Okay.
One of the things that I found fascinating
Yeah.
about this paper is they found
Yeah.
that by breaking these knowledge graphs down into smaller modules,
Right.
they were able to get LLMs to perform certain tasks
Wow.
with like over 90% accuracy.
Wow.
But
Yeah. So that's really kind of the big takeaway
Yeah.
from the paper.
yeah,
And we'll get into all the details about how they did that.
exactly.
But I think it's helpful to sort of like
Yeah.
take a step back for a second.
Okay.
And for folks who may be familiar with LLMs,
Yeah.
but maybe not so much with knowledge graphs.
Yeah, like
Let's kind of like
Yeah.
define what a knowledge graph is
Yeah.
and why
Yeah, why should we care?
why we should even care about this.
Exactly.
So, in the simplest terms,
Mhm.
a knowledge graph is basically a map of information.
Okay.
But instead of cities and roads,
So,
it's like concepts and relationships.
oh.
So it's really how we teach machines to understand the world
Mhm.
and the connections between things.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
this movie was directed by this person,
Yeah,
or
sure.
this chemical element reacts with that one.
So it's kind of like a
Yeah.
superpowered database,
Yeah.
but one that actually understands
Yes,
how
sir.
things relate to each other.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
Much more so than just a traditional database.
Okay.
And the thing is, like, these knowledge graphs,
Yeah.
they're used like everywhere.
Okay.
They're used in search engines.
Mhm.
They're used in recommendation systems.
Okay.
They're even used in things like drug discovery.
Wow.
So they're really important.
Okay, so they're important, but
Yeah.
I mean, I'm already feeling like building and managing these things sounds incredibly complicated.
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
Imagine trying to like create a map,
Yeah.
right, of all of human knowledge
Right.
with like every single detail
Yeah.
and every single connection.
Yeah.
That's essentially what building a knowledge graph is like.
Yeah.
And traditionally, it's been this very like
Yeah.
painstakingly manual process.
Right.
A lot of human effort goes into this.
Okay.
And so this is where this research paper,
Okay.
Accelerating Knowledge Graph and Ontology Engineering
Okay.
with Large Language Models,
Okay.
this is where this comes in.
Okay.
Because what they're proposing is,
Yeah.
can we use LLMs
Yeah.
to automate a lot of that heavy lifting?
Interesting.
Right.
Okay.
And the reason why this is so appealing is because
Yeah.
LLMs are really good
Yes.
at understanding and generating human language.
Okay.
And so the idea is,
Yeah.
can we leverage that power
Yeah.
to help us build and manage
Yeah.
these very complex knowledge graphs?
So this is where I get a little bit nervous because,
Yeah.
LLMs, as we all know, have a tendency to sometimes
Yeah.
make stuff up, right?
They hallucinate.
Yeah.
We call it hallucinations.
Right.
They can generate information.
Yeah.
That sounds plausible,
Yeah.
but isn't actually true.
And this is like
This is
this is a big concern.
a big concern,
Yeah.
especially when we're talking about building a source of truth,
Yes.
like a knowledge
It's
graph.
supposed to be facts. Yeah.
This is supposed to be grounded in reality.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're right to be concerned about that.
Yep.
But this is where I think it starts to get really interesting, because what this paper found is
Yeah.
that by breaking down
Yeah.
these large knowledge graphs
Okay.
into smaller, more manageable modules,
Okay.
they could actually significantly reduce these hallucinations
Okay.
and improve the accuracy
Interesting.
of the LLM's output.
Okay, so that's where this whole concept of modularity comes in.
Yeah.
Okay, and honestly, I'm going to be honest, when I first saw that word in the paper, my eyes kind of glazed over a little bit.
Okay.
I was just like, I don't even know what that means, but now I'm actually intrigued.
Okay.
So can you give us like a real world example of
Yeah, let's make this concrete.
Yeah.
So, actually, one of the examples they use in the paper
Okay.
is about oceanographic research cruises.
Okay.
So imagine you have all this data
Okay.
about these research cruises.
Yeah.
And you want to build a knowledge graph
Right.
to represent all that information.
Right.
Now, instead of having this one massive knowledge graph
Okay.
that represents like every single detail
Yeah.
about these cruises,
Right.
you can create separate modules
Okay.
that focus on specific aspects.
Okay.
So you might have like a module for trajectory,
Okay.
a module for physical samples,
Okay.
a module for organizations.
Okay, so like the trajectory module would essentially be
Yeah.
like mapping out the...
The path of the cruise, exactly.
Okay, but what kind of information, like,
Yeah.
what kind of information would actually be in that module?
Yes, so think about things like coordinates, dates, times, maybe even information about the ship's speed and direction.
Okay.
And then you would have relationships
Okay.
connecting those data points.
Okay.
So things like the ship was at this location on this date.
Okay.
The ship traveled from point A to point B during this time period.
So each module becomes like
Yeah.
kind of like a mini knowledge graph
A mini knowledge graph, exactly.
in and of itself.
Yeah.
Okay.
Focused on a very specific aspect of the overall topic.
And that's what makes it so powerful for LLMs, because they don't have to try to grasp this enormous interconnected web of information all at once.
Exactly. They can focus on one module at a time.
Okay.
And that makes it much easier for them to extract
Right.
relevant information
Yeah.
and make accurate connections.
It's like we're giving them a much clearer set of instructions and boundaries.
It's like you're giving them a more focused task.
Yeah.
Which, knowing LLMs, probably helps them stay on track.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. But did this modularity approach, did it actually lead to better results?
It did.
In their experiments?
Yeah.
I mean, beyond just theoretically.
Yeah, let's talk about some actual results here.
Yeah.
So, in one experiment,
Okay.
they tasked an LLM with aligning two different ontologies related to oceanographic data.
Okay.
And I don't want to get too into the weeds here.
Yeah, it's okay.
But essentially, imagine you had these two giant messy spreadsheets.
That's okay.
And you're trying to merge them into one cohesive document.
Oh my God.
That's nightmare.
My brain hurts just thinking about it.
Right. And so they try to do this with the entire ontologies at once.
Right.
And the LLM basically failed.
Okay.
The output was unusable.
Wow.
But then they broke down the ontologies into modules.
Right.
And they used those modules as the basis for alignment.
Okay.
And boom, 95% success rate.
Wow. Okay.
So a dramatic improvement.
That's a pretty dramatic improvement.
Just by using this modularity approach.
Okay, I'm starting to see the light here.
Okay, good.
So it's like instead of one giant knowledge graph, we're giving the LLM a set of building blocks.
Yeah, like Lego bricks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's able to put those together.
Exactly.
Much more effectively.
Much more effectively.
Okay, what about, you mentioned this ontology population task earlier.
That's another.
Did they see similar results there?
They did.
Okay.
And this one's really cool because it highlights how LLMs can be used to automatically extract information from text and add it to a knowledge graph.
Okay. Which, if I'm not mistaken, is a huge part of what makes building these knowledge graphs so time-consuming.
Yeah.
Right.
You have to manually pull all this data from all these different sources.
Yeah.
It's a nightmare.
Okay.
So imagine you're trying to populate this knowledge graph about oceanographic cruises.
Okay.
And you have all these research papers. You have log books.
Right.
You have all these different texts.
Yeah.
With modularity, they were able to get the LLM to extract relevant information from these texts with over 90% accuracy.
Wow. So
practically speaking, if I feed the LLM a research paper about a specific cruise, it can automatically pull out things like date the location, the types of samples collected.
Even who was on board the ship.
Potentially even that, And
all of that goes straight into
the appropriate module.
The appropriate module in our knowledge graph.
In the knowledge graph.
That's incredible.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
Okay.
And what's really exciting is this is just one specific example.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
We're talking about oceanographic research cruises here.
Yeah.
But the potential applications of this modularity approach are huge.
Yeah.
I mean, you can imagine this being applied to all sorts of different domains.
Okay.
Different types of knowledge.
I'm officially on the modularity bandwagon.
All right, good. I've convinced you.
You have convinced me.
Excellent.
It's like, we've discovered this secret weapon for making LLM
secret weapon
even more powerful.
Yeah, I like that.
But I'm guessing this is still early days, right?
Oh, absolutely.
What are some of the what are some of the big questions that still need to be answered?
Yeah, so there's a ton of research still to be done.
Yeah.
For example, how do we determine the optimal way to divide a knowledge graph into modules.
Yeah. Is there like a...
Right? Is there a one-size-fits-all approach?
Yeah. Like what works for oceanographic cruises might not be the best for like...
Exactly.
I don't know, historical events or medical diagnosis.
Oh, right. Different domains might require
right.
different types of modules.
Yeah.
Different ways of breaking things down.
Okay.
And then there's the question of, how does modularity impact other knowledge graph tasks?
Right.
Right. We've talked about alignment. We've talked about population.
Yeah.
But there are all these other things that you can do with knowledge graphs.
Okay.
And so how does modularity play into those tasks?
I'm sensing a part 2 coming on here.
I think so.
I think so.
I think there's a lot more to unpack here.
There's a lot more to unpack.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So stay tuned for part 2.
All right. We'll be right back after the break.
And you know what this whole modularity thing got me thinking?
Okay.
What if this is like the key to unlocking even greater potential in AI as a whole?
Okay, now you've really got my attention. You're talking about like thinking beyond.
Yeah, thinking beyond just knowledge graphs.
Okay.
What if instead of trying to build like one massive all-knowing AI, we focused on developing like specialized AI modules that could work together, communicate, collaborate.
That's like the key.
Almost like a team of experts.
Oh, I love that analogy.
Right.
Okay.
So you could have one AI module that's like a whiz at natural language processing.
Okay.
Another one that's like a master of image recognition.
Okay.
Another one that crunches numbers.
Right.
Like nobody's business.
But then the real magic happens when...
But then the real magic happens when they start talking to each other.
Right, when they can share.
Sharing information.
Yeah.
Insights, cross-referencing.
Imagine the kinds of problems we could solve.
I know, right?
If we could get these...
Mind-blowing.
Yeah, these AI modules talking to each other.
If we could get these specialized AI modules to work together seamlessly.
Hold on. My brain is trying to keep up here.
Okay.
But how would we even begin to coordinate?
That's a great question.
All of these different modules.
Yeah. It would definitely...
It sounds incredibly complex.
It would be a challenge.
Yeah.
But think about like how our own brains work.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
We have different regions specialized for different functions.
Yeah.
Yet they somehow manage to integrate.
Right.
And give us this like incredible capacity for thought and action.
So are we looking to nature for inspiration here?
In a way, yes.
Trying to mimic the...
I think we can learn a lot from how our own brains...
Yeah, the modular architecture of the human brain.
We're structured exactly.
It's pretty mind-blowing.
It is pretty amazing.
Okay.
And here's where things come full circle.
Okay.
LLMs, with their knack for language processing, could actually be the key to facilitating this communication and collaboration between these different AI modules.
So we're not just talking about breaking down knowledge graphs into modules.
We're talking about potentially breaking down like the entire AI landscape.
Creating these specialized modules that can then speak to each other through LLMs.
Through LLMs. Yeah. It's a pretty wild idea.
That's a game changer.
It is a game changer.
Okay.
And I think, the research on LLMs and modularity in knowledge graph engineering is an important step towards making this vision a reality.
I'm starting to think this whole modularity thing is more than just like a cool
it might be
research finding.
The fundamental shift.
It could be like a fundamental shift in how we approach AI development as a whole.
I think you're onto something.
Okay.
I think this research could be the catalyst
Yeah.
for a whole new wave of AI innovation.
Okay.
One that embraces collaboration and specialization.
So instead of trying to build one giant AI brain that can do everything, we're building a network of interconnected, specialized AI brains.
A network of brains.
That can work together.
Yes.
Learn from each other.
Learn from each other.
And collectively achieve things.
And that's previously impossible.
Achieve amazing things.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's pretty incredible.
It's pretty exciting.
And imagine like the potential impact on fields like scientific discovery,
healthcare,
climate change.
You're really painting a picture where AI is not just
some monolithic entity.
Yeah, some monolithic entity, but like a collaborative force.
It's a collaborative force.
That can help us solve some of humanity's biggest challenges.
I'm glad you're picking up what I'm putting down.
I'm getting it. I'm getting it.
Okay, good.
I have to admit I'm pretty fired up about this.
I am too. It's really exciting.
Really cool stuff.
It's a cause for optimism, I think.
Yeah.
And the most exciting part is this is just the beginning.
Right.
we've only scratched the surface
Okay.
of what's possible with LLMs and modularity.
All right, before we get too carried away with our future fantasies.
Yeah, let's bring it back.
Bring it back down to earth.
To our listeners.
Yeah.
What's the
key takeaway?
Key takeaway.
They should be walking away with today.
Yeah, what should they be thinking about?
I think the main message is that we're in the midst of a profound shift in AI.
Okay.
LLMs, with their grasp of human language,
have opened up incredible possibilities.
Okay.
And this concept of modularity could be the key to unlocking even greater potential.
Yeah.
Not just in knowledge graphs, but in AI as a whole.
I think you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it feels like we've gone from like knowledge graphs to the future of AI.
I know, right?
In just like a few minutes. But I think
it's a lot to unpack.
Yeah, you've really highlighted something important. Like, this isn't just about like technical advancements. It's about rethinking like how we approach AI development.
Exactly. It's a whole new paradigm.
Yeah.
And you know what?
Yeah.
The potential of modularity extends far beyond the realm of AI.
Oh, come on. You can't
think about it.
You can't leave us hanging with that thought.
Okay.
This is an example.
All right. So think about this principle.
Yeah.
Of breaking down complex systems.
Yeah.
Into smaller, more manageable parts.
Right.
Could we apply that to like how we organize cities?
Okay.
How we design transportation systems?
Okay.
Even how we structure our governments.
Whoa.
Right.
Okay, now my mind is really blown.
Yeah.
Suddenly, modularity isn't just like a tech term. It's like a whole new lens for looking at the world.
It's a way of thinking.
Yeah.
It's a design principle.
It really is.
That we can apply to all sorts of things.
And who knows what other fields or challenges could benefit from this kind of thinking.
I mean, it's really exciting to think about.
Yeah,
that's some really fascinating.
It is. Well, you've certainly given us plenty to think about today.
I hope so.
Before we wrap up, any final words of wisdom?
Oh gosh, words of wisdom.
For our listeners who are now completely fascinated by this idea of modularity.
You know, I would just say, stay curious.
Okay.
Keep asking questions.
Yeah.
Exploring new ideas.
Mm-hmm.
And who knows, maybe you'll be the one to discover the next groundbreaking application of modularity.
All right. I love that.
Yeah.
Beautifully said. And for those who want to dive deeper into the research we discussed today, we've got links to the paper.
Absolutely.
And some other helpful resources in the show notes.
Definitely check those out.
Yeah.
There's a lot of great stuff there.
Awesome. Well, thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of LLMs, knowledge graphs, and this surprisingly powerful concept of modularity.
It's been a pleasure.
It really has been a pleasure.
Yeah.
Keep those brains buzzing, everyone.
Until next time.